Welcome to Dom's Whiteboard strategy session, where we break down the deals, details, creative strategies, and all the things that you want to know to become a successful investor in today's market. So welcome back to another video breaking down some creative acquisition strategies that you will want to implement in your business. This one is called Hybrid, and it is a combination of two videos that I will link for you above, subject to seller finance, and it's pretty easy to understand if you understand those two strategies. Let's revisit our house example, and we'll call him Johnny again. Let's say Johnny, he wants to sell his house for $300,000, but Johnny only owes $200,000 on his house. Okay, Johnny's got a 3.5% rate on that $200,000 mortgage, but the house is only worth $275,000. Johnny really wants that $300,000, but his realtor is saying, hey Johnny, you can only get $275,000 for this house. That's how much it's going to appraise for. That's how much buyers are willing to pay. You're not going to get the number that you want on the market for this house. Johnny says, wait a second. I really think that my house is worth $300,000. How do I get $300,000 for my house? I, as an investor, I go over to Johnny and say, hey Johnny, I can give you the $300,000 for this house, but what I'll need from you is I will need to take over that $200,000 mortgage subject to the existing loan. So that means that I would get this 3.5% rate on this $200,000 at closing, which is super, super important to me as an investor, especially in the wrap strategy or any other strategy for that matter. But if you watch our previous video on the wrap strategy, you'll see why a low interest rate is so important for someone like me, given the strategy that I like to implement. So I now have $200,000 covered out of that $300,000 that Johnny wants. Let's say Johnny says, listen, I need to move. I need a down payment for my new house. I need $30,000 at closing. Okay. So we give Johnny his $30K, and then that leaves us with $70K. And we can figure out whatever we want, whatever makes sense for us to get Johnny this $70K. So we can either give it to him over time in the form of monthly payments. We could do what's called a balloon at the end of a certain period of time. So let's say Johnny wants his $70K over the course of 7 years. We can give him monthly payments. We can give him a combination of monthly payments and a balloon on the remaining amount of principal owed. So let's say over 7 years, we pay Johnny $50,000 of his 70. That means at year 7, it would be a $20K balloon that I would owe him. Or we can defer all of that $70K to 7 years. So $70K, no payment, 7-year balloon. As you can see, there is a million ways to skin this cat over here. Those are just some of the ways that I've used in the past about what's made sense for me, what's made sense for my seller, and our goals have combined to reach some of these options that you see here. But the synopsis of it is the hybrid comes from a combination of subject to and seller finance. And as you can see here, the subject to is pretty simple. I'm taking over the debt on the fixed interest rate loan that the bank has on the mortgage. The seller finance is where we get a little bit creative. Let's say Johnny said, I don't need anything now. We can get even more creative with this figure here. Now we owe Johnny $100,000. We're zero cash out of pocket for this deal, besides closing costs, agent commissions, things like that. So the seller finance is pretty much however you want to structure it. There could be an interest rate on it. If you're overpaying for the property, like this, I do not recommend that you put an interest rate on it. And the reason being is if you look at an amortization schedule, at any interest rate at all, it is front loaded with interest. So if you're overpaying for a property, and you have a 7-year balloon or a large sum of money that you'll need to refinance for, it might put you in a bit of a pickle because you will almost have paid none of that equity down. So we will get into more depth about how I like to structure these deals in subsequent videos, but just know there's a million ways to skin this cat. The combination of subject to and seller finance equals our hybrid strategy. If you like what you saw here, if you're going to try to implement this strategy in your own business, comment below. I'd love to see all of your thoughts on this. I'd love to see your feedback, what you want to see next, and stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.